Hey, it's Joseph here. I've got quite a few boxes to go through today, so let's get to it. All of these things are all related to the main bit, Insta360 ONE RS unit, interchangeable lens 360 camera, which I'm quite excited for. So I'll leave this over here and get through the rest of the accessories first before it. And of these, I think this is the smallest and the easiest to go through. Insta360 memory card, 64GB, and the cameras are actually quite particular about the memory card speed, and I have experienced the video being stopped in the middle of the shoot when the memory card isn't up to the speed that it requires. So it is definitely good to check out their recommended memory card list, but also you can just buy their card so that you know for sure this is well compatible with the camera. I think the easiest way is to cut it up. And inside of this plastic case, you've got this memory card that is absolutely tiny, micro SD card, but I also do not want this thing to get lost. So let's just close it back up and then leave it here for me to use it later. And then the next one is the carrying case. Okay, it does have a nice fabric finish in Insta360 ONE RS 1-inch 360 edition. So I suppose this is a carrying case that is specifically made for this camera. And underneath that, we've got this paper that lets you know how to store things inside. And you got the wristband as well as a zipper, and you've got some net over here for you to store a couple of little small items as well as the cables. In here you put the actual camera and the battery on here to carry this nicely. So that's good. I've never actually owned a carrying case for my 360 cameras, and it is quite a hassle to carry them without it. So yeah, that's nice. And then we've got these two things. First, let's open up this one, which is titled as Invisible Selfie Stick. And this specific one has the extended length of 44 or 45 inches, and the retracted length is 9 inches and thereabout. They do have several different versions of selfie stick, so I wonder what this one is. I actually own 3 different versions of it. I suppose this may be one of it. So you just pull it out like that, and it is quite long, and then collapse like that. This is the latest iteration of their selfie stick. There was a shorter version, there was a longer version that needed to be twisted and all. It was quite cumbersome to use it. I like this specific model, the latest one. It is about 9 inches as the spec said, and when it is all extended, my desk is about 4 feet long, and it is just so short, and it is all resistance base, so you just have to pull it hard and then just push it in to collapse it. And that is a good amount of resistance so that the camera doesn't accidentally collapse on its own. And you've got the 1/4-inch thread up here, as well as the female one at the bottom of the selfie, so that you can attach different one. So that leads you to this thing, which is the all-purpose tripod. And it is a tripod in a sense. It is basically the feet for the selfie sticks, and it is absolutely crucial for us to have one of these so that we can just put it on the floor and leave the scene for 360 shots. That is actually quite well made. It is all metal built and it feels quite solid. I like that. And then you can just thread that in. It does have a rubber feet on it so that it doesn't get, oh, it actually pulls out as well. So you can have additional stability introduced by this. I like that. It is extending about 9 inches as well in terms of the feet length on each, and that does give a huge amount of coverage when it comes to the stability. And when you want to collapse it, you just push it in. I really like that. And then you can go handheld if you would like. That is quite well made. I wonder how it pairs up with the longest selfie stick that they have. So I also have this specific selfie stick that I acquired, and it is one from Insta360 as well. and this one extends to 3 meters, so it is quite a long one, and I use this so I can reach very far distances, especially up above where I can't reach, even on top of roofs and such. So this has been my go-to monopod or selfie stick when it comes to using the 360 cameras. And I suppose you can just attach this and it pairs up quite nicely with the extended feet. It is quite sturdy. There is a bit of a wiggle, I would say, but it fixes itself quite well. One of the benefit of this specific feet is the fact that it has a bit of weight to it. It actually is about, I would say, equal weight in terms of these two. This is a carbon fiber, so it is incredibly light for what it is able to reach. So the center of gravity is actually much lower in this case once you have this put up, and sometimes you do have to worry about occasional wind knocking over your setup, so this is gonna be quite a nice setup. So those are the accessories. And by the way, Insta360 did provide me these products, except this monopod, and I do like their products, and I have been using their camera for quite a long time now, and I have featured them in my channel quite a few times as well. I'm really glad that they are able to make these amazing products as well as send them to me to showcase to you guys. So let's continue with the Insta360 ONE RS 1-inch 360 edition that has a lens and a sensor co-engineered with Leica, which basically means that you can expect greater picture quality out of this, and supposedly it has a great low light capabilities, so you can take pictures and videos in much lower light conditions, because I do walk into a situation that doesn't have much light on. So I'm expecting much greater result out of this camera. Obviously I'll have to test out a few things before I determine that, but let's look at a couple of features and the specs. So on the side here, as always, it's noting the features of this camera: dual 1-inch sensor, 6K 360 video, which is higher than the 5K of other cameras, and then 21 megapixel 360 photo, flow state stabilization, 360 horizon lock, invisible selfie stick, superb low light HDR photo, and then IPX3, water resistant, interchangeable lens, and voice control and auto edit. And out of all of these things, I'm expecting greater things with the superb low light capabilities. And to the back, in the box, we can expect 1-inch 360 lens, RS core, vertical battery case, along with the mounting bracket, charging cable, and the lens cap. On the other side, a couple of example photos that you might get, and we get to open the box. Once we open, we are greeted with this camera sitting in the center. Let's open up the accessory box first. And you got the QR code. I guess this is sort of the quick start guide or manual type of thing that you can get out of. But you got the cleaning cloth, a couple more paperwork, and then the sticker that they always give you. And then under the flap, you've got a couple of cables and whatnot. So you got the USB type A to type C cable, which you can use it for charging and the data transfer. And I suppose this is the port cover that you can use. However, because this is mounted vertically, I don't think you need it. That's why it's in here in case you want to use other type of lenses with it. And this blob is the lens cover for it. I like these rubbery lens cover, easy to put on. And then we get to take out the actual camera. Quite a big camera. It is probably heaviest and the biggest that I've ever handled for a 360 camera. I really like the overall design and just feeling of the product. It's got a couple of peels, so let's get through these. Here it says 1-inch CMOS sensor. You just have to peel that. Flow state stabilization, and over here one for the screen. You can see that this is a screen for the Insta360 ONE RS type of unit, and this is the battery bank, and it has been sort of clumped up together with this giant sensor in the lens. And then down here, charge the battery before use. When disconnected from the core, this is the core, the battery can only be charged with a USB type A to USB type C cable. Okay, so I suppose I do need to charge it up before use, and I'm just gonna peel this off. And here we've got another peel before the flap. Please open the USB cover before disassembling or assembling the camera. Just pry that open, and then you got USB Type-C for data and charging. So I suppose I need to start charging that. And then let's go around further. And on this side, it says how to disassemble. Push the lock button on top of the mounting bracket to disassemble and assemble the lens. So I suppose you squeeze these two buttons on either side, and then open the USB cover on the side of the bracket to remove the core and battery. So open this flap as we have been warned, and insert a micro SD card into the core. So that's how you disassemble and then insert the SD card as well. Okay, I've read that. Hopefully I can remember that. And also I've got this peel over the lens. Beautiful 1-inch sensor giant lens. But we do need to insert the SD card. So let me go ahead and cover this lens in case I somehow damage this. So I think we've been told to squeeze the buttons so that you pull it out. And also I've got to open this flap and then somehow disassemble this. Just slide it out like that. And then the core and the battery comes out, and you can pull it out like that, and there is that USB Type-C, and then the cover that was included can be covered like this. And for the people who's not aware what Insta360 RS series looks like, this is the core. You can have another lens and then a battery underneath it, and it becomes sort of the action cam looking. And in this case, in order to accommodate a giant lens and for 360 shots, it is actually quite preferable to have this sort of vertical shape. So they just sort of lengthened it and then combined it in a way that it works for that kind of system. But there is the micro SD card slot there. So let's go ahead and insert that. And then I've just got to insert that there. And that is in, and you just gotta assemble it back together and then insert into this slot so that the USB Type-C port matches up with this flap. Push that in. I wonder if this has any front and back orientation, but perhaps not. So just push that in along with the flap. So that is in now. So it does have that 1/4 thread down here for you to attach the tripod, and also a couple of buttons over here. So that is the recording button and then the power button. Nothing on the other side. There are microphone slots and also the screen on here. So I suppose you will just kind of navigate with these buttons with your thumb and then navigate through different system by this touch screen. I don't know if this has any juice, but let me go ahead and charge it. So whilst this is charging, and it is convenient since it is USB Type-C port, I charge all out of my devices with it, but I am trying to compare it with Insta360 X3, which is the latest iteration of the 360 camera that they have. It is in a very much similar form factor in a way that it is vertical and it's got the 360 lens on top. It is sort of more wholesome unit, and I really like this camera. I have been using a lot lately for site survey, 360 photo, as well as even video purposes for vlog type of thing. I haven't posted any videos of it, but it is quite an effective unit, which I have featured on my channel before. And in comparison, yeah, whilst it is in a similar form factor, it is definitely much smaller unit, but obviously it doesn't have as big of a lens or the sensor. So I suppose that is the trade-off for the quality. Again, at the bottom you got the same thread, and onto the side you got the power button as well as the quick button and the record button on this side. Here you've got the flap for charging, same thing over here, although you can remove the battery. I actually like the fact that you can remove the flap for the port, because I don't really need water resistance as much, and I just don't like that dangling all that often. So you can remove it like that, but you can also put it back on if you would like. And I think you can just pull this like this and then remove the flap on this one as well. So yeah, that will basically reduce the water resistance. Obviously you want to remove that at your discretion. Now that it is charged for a bit, let's actually test out. So I suppose you just press the power button, turn it on. The LED light is coming on. Formatting SD card. So it is formatting the SD card. I suppose I choose English. Install Insta360 app and connect the camera to activate. I do have the Insta360 app. Confirm connection on device, of course. Swipe left or right on the middle to the screen to switch nodes. New firmware is found. Okay, let's go ahead and download that. Okay, and right now it is checking the firmware. Okay, tap to connect to device. Okay, so I'm gonna connect this tripod or the feet onto the camera so I can just situate it on top of my desk. Take out the lens cap, and once I do, you can see. So you can basically view what is going on around me, and you see myself over there, and then what's on my desk and how I got everything set up. So the benefit of 360 view is the fact that you get to see everything as you take photo. So let's go to the photo, and then instead of the complete auto mode, and I can go to the manual and set the ISO in a very specific way, and I want that to be at 100 so that I reduce the noise as much as possible, and possibly up the shutter speed so that I can let a bit more light into the scene. Or you can just rely on auto as well. And then you can set a specific exposure value. Here I can increase a little bit to make it brighter or reduce it. I'll set it to 0. White balancing at auto. And notice how as I pick up and rotate the camera, it is not rotating the scene. It is able to understand where to point at. I can set up the timer or basically shoot the photo. So obviously I'll have to do some testing. I'll do side-by-side comparison with the X3 to really compare how this camera performs against the low light situation, because that would definitely be a benefit for me as I use the 1-inch sensor. So I'll just do a comparison on the screen and let you know what I think in the subtitle. And we haven't really tested out one of the accessories, so let's go ahead and open this one so that we can test this out. I suppose you just drop it in and it's a snug fit. I suppose that slot is for the extra set of battery that you have, and you can put different type of things in here, cables, SD card case type of thing, and you can just close it up and you can nicely put it in there. As I have said, I plan on making a couple of more videos to feature this camera on different type of workflow and introduce its capabilities. So please do look out for those videos. But if you have a specific type of topic that you would like me to touch on, then please let me know down in the comment. I'll be sure to address those, and I hope you have enjoyed this content. If you did, please like this video and consider subscribing to my channel to continue watching these type of videos as well as the follow-up. And thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll see you next time. Bye.